Pokemon Ultimate Adventures by Mikazuki. Chapter 16. The Sand Raiders. Even though I defeated the Missigno gang and Team Rocket has stopped pestering us for now, my problems are far from over. Everywhere I go, I find trouble, and it clings to me like a stench. This is the price I pay for helping out those in need. With all the danger I've been facing, I always sigh in relief that I survived to see another sunrise. But everything I've faced until now was just practice, because I was soon to discover the existence of a force unlike anything this world has ever seen. I had no idea just what I was facing at the time, nor did I even begin to comprehend how monstrous our enemy was, and how deep their power runs. The bane of humanity, the power that could one day consume this world, the force known simply as the Kaiser Cult. Ash Ketchum. Location: mountain clusters. Finally done, Clef panted, smiling to himself as he stepped out of the tunnel he had smashed, running right through the mountain cluster which separated one side with its green forests to the other with a vast desert. Clef sighed as he slumped to the ground, removing his helmet and taking a swig from his canteen. This ought to repay the favor. The shortcut will save those guys 3 days of climbing and mountain crossing, he said out loud, to no one in particular. Well, I'd better be going. He sighed as he stood up and brushed himself off. Even though it was only a temporary alliance, I enjoyed it. Good luck in the rest of your journeys, Ash Ketchum. He smirked as he continued walking. He was joined by Bonsai, and the two super fiends walked off into the distance. Location: Marble Desert. Ah, yeah! Now this is what I call traveling in style! Tracy stood and yelled. The Marble Desert was a pretty windy place, and because of this, they had decided to use this to their advantage. While Ash and Misty were busy gathering items, Ebby, Brock, and Tracy had built a special sled. It was shaped similar to a raft, so it could carry many people at once. But the sail and its design made it so that it could move over the sand, and the wind would push them. If we travel like this, we won't have to worry about the heat, because of that cool breeze we're getting from the ride! Yahoo! Brock held on to the mast and raised his hand in the air. He was enjoying the ride very much. I gotta hand it to that super fiend, Ebby called out, standing and enjoying the breeze. If he hadn't created that shortcut, it would have been impossible to carry this thing, and we'd have had to walk. Was this a great idea or what? Only for you! Ash was sweating and grunting in effort. He was riding in front of them on the Quicksilver, and tied around his shoulders and arms were 2 ropes connected to the front of the sand sled. Because the wind was blowing in the opposite direction, someone would have to get out and push, or in this case, pull. I thought we agreed on everybody pulling their own weight, but here I find myself doing it for you. Maybe if you guys weren't too lazy to walk, I wouldn't have the heavy burdens that you guys are literally resting on my shoulders. Couldn't you have at least tied those ropes to the Quicksilver and not me? Yeah, I suppose we could have done that. Remind us the next time we decide to cross the desert on a sled, Ebby called back, while everyone else laughed. Stop complaining! We're losing speed! Now mush! Misty yelled and cracked a whip. Ouch! Knock it off, Misty! Ash shouted. If I go any faster, we'll lose control and you guys will probably crash. Not that you don't deserve it, but it'll rip my arms off in the process. If you want to speed things up, couldn't you at least get rid of that sail? For crying out loud, the wind's blowing in the opposite direction! Removing the sail will kind of ruin the point of sailing, Tracy called out, and everybody laughed out loud. Ugh! Ash growled. If you guys don't stop making fun of me, I just might let you go, sending you... Ah! A jet of flames shot out of nowhere. It burned through the left tip of the sail, setting the mast on fire, and barely missing Ash. Ash could feel the heat of the flames passing just inches away from his head. What was that? Brock shouted. Over there! Look! Tracy pointed behind them. Chasing them was a group of men, each of them riding various Pokemon or desert vehicles. They each wore goggles over their eyes and cloaks and scarves around their necks and shoulders to protect them. By the looks of things, they were armed, and the blast of fire came from the one riding a Rapidash. Bandits? The horde of Sand Raiders was gaining on them, and in the front of them all was a desert speeder that hovered above the ground, and carried one in particular who stood out among the raiders. He wore a white turban and a white cape, along with a scarf that covered the bottom part of his face. Hanging from his belt was a shining, razor-sharp scimitar. Clearly, this one was the leader. Although the speeder was being driven at a very high speed and steering hard, he stood straight up with his arms crossed, not even flinching or showing any signs of caution or fear. "We have to speed up! Let's jettison anything useless that'll slow us down!" Ebby shouted, then turned to Brock. "You! Jump off!" "What? Why me?" Brock shouted. "Quit thinking about yourself, No Eyes, and nobly sacrifice your life for us," said Ebby. "Hey, I've got a better idea! Why don't we throw you off instead?" shouted Brock. "Because my life is actually worth something," Ebby argued back. "Oh, and mine isn't?" Brock said angrily. "Will you two knock it off and get rid of that stupid sail already? It's burning anyway!" Ash shouted over the wind. Quickly, they did what he said, undoing the rope and letting the flaming cloth fly through the air. Ah! The Rapidash rider in the front screamed as the burning sail hit him and his Pokemon, causing both to fall into the sand and get left behind. "Ah! Look, guys! The mast is on fire!" Tracy pointed at the mast. "Then let's get rid of it too! It's useless anyway now that the sail's gone!" Misty said, taking out her sledgehammer. "Ha!" She swung it at the base, smashing through the wood and causing it to tip over, off the sled, and roll down the sand. The burning mast slammed into the front of the desert speeder, causing it to spin out of control and smash into several other of the bandits. "Success!" the team cheered, but that soon changed when they saw the leader. Even though the vehicle spun out of control, he leapt through the air and landed cleanly on his feet and began chasing them on foot. "Oh my God!" they gasped as they saw him run. He was moving even faster than the speeder he was riding on. Drawing his scimitar, he had caught up with them and was running beside them. "Ah! Watch out! There's more of them coming!" Ebby shouted, pointing at the sand dune to the side, as more of these bandits came out and chased them. "Ah! This was a planned attack!" he growled. "Ash! There's no point in running anymore! We can't escape them in their territory!" "Way ahead of ya!" Ash grinned, understanding what Ebby was getting at. They just have to take the fight to them. However, just as he was about to release, the raider dressed in white slashed the two ropes Ash was pulling. "Wah!" Ash screamed, suddenly spinning out of control. "Wah! Guys! Watch out! In front of... Wolf!" Ash shouted as he crashed into the sand. "Ah!" Ash's friends gasped when they saw what was ahead. They were heading straight for a large rock. "Jump!" They quickly dove over the side of the raft.